can see how the population. You can see the population. That is the great king, King Marshal. Increase the population. Increase the population. You can see a wonderful man crowd. You can see a wonderful man crowd. That's there to receive it. Guys, we will take a seat. That doubles as field marshal on the occasion of the 1st of October 2019. That is the great king, field marshal. Increase the population. Increase the population. You can see a wonderful man crowd. You can see a wonderful man crowd. That's there to receive it. Guys, we will take a seat. That is a great king. That doubles as field marshal on the occasion of the 1st of October 2019. Today, 1st of October.
Fellow Ambazonians, good afternoon. Good afternoon. This bright day of Friday, September the 2nd, 2022. I'm delighted to have you here with me on the set of ABS. Our election coverage continues. Fellow Ambazonians, I hope you are as delighted as I am seeing our democracy on the world stage, and we're showcasing our democracy in front of the world, and showing exactly what the new Ambazonia is going to look like. How we are going to choose our leaders, not by having them imposed on us, but by us choosing the leaders we want to lead us. And not just that, but also being able to hold them accountable when they do wrong. So, fellow Ambazonians, I would like for you now, I know you've been waiting for a while, and we're sorry for the delay, which was due to other commitments. We're just rushing here to get this underway, but we will do our best to make sure that we satisfy your thirst for the information we're supposed to bring to you, and to make sure that we continue to educate and inform our people on the process that is ongoing right now. I'm talking about our elections, of course. But before we do that, I would like to give a shout out to all of our restoration fighters, our heroes who are holding our territory and giving it to the enemy who does not seem to get the message that we don't want them in our territory. I want to say hello to the Bui warriors, or the Bui Unity warriors, as they want us to call them. I want to say hello to the seven Qatars who have been upping their game recently. Kudos to the seven Qatars. Keep it up. That is exactly what we want. That's exactly what we want. So kudos to the seven Qatars. We have not had any of the native news that we normally get from the seven Qatars of present, and they have been taking it to the enemy. That is exactly what we want. And you keep it up, and uh, you will be honored and praised and rewarded as time goes on. So, our restoration fighters in the southern zone, Bonge, Manu, Fako, Victoria, we haven't heard anything happening in Victoria recent, but let's hope that after this election, things will change, and things will definitely change. I can assure you that things will not be the same. Our RFs in Boyo, they've been doing a great job too. Boyo has been doing a great job. Menchum, we're waiting for you to step up your game. Donga Mantung, they've been giving us some good information or good news out there. And Kitunja, of course. So, all of our restoration fighters in the territory of the Southern Cameroon, Ambazonia, we say kudos to you. We offer our hearts to you for the great job you are doing. Please keep it up, and soon our territory will be under our own control. You will not have to say pardon, chef, to anybody anymore. That will be history. We will completely eliminate that nonsense where you have to kneel down and beg and be kicked on the roads, and when you say anything in English, they slap you as if you're not supposed to speak your own language in your own territory. So that's going to stop. Now, I see the numbers are increasing, but yeah, they're increasing. Please keep sharing the link. Keep sharing the link. Let's get the, the numbers rising so that I can introduce you my guests, and we can bring you some exciting news about the elections and the debate of yesterday. What a wonderful show! That is exactly what we want, numbers, where before you are elected as a leader, you come in front of the people and tell them exactly what you are going to do. So that when you get in there and you are not doing what you promised, the people will hold you to account when you come back the next time and ask them to vote for you. That is the way it's supposed to be, and that is the way it is going to be in Ambazonia. We will no longer have leaders imposed on us. That will not happen anymore. So While we wait for the numbers to climb so I can bring in my guest, some of us have been asking, but why elections during uh, uh, a revolution? Why do we have to conduct, why do we have to practice democracy during a revolution? Now, I just want to take these few minutes to answer some of those questions that people ask. But why do we have to conduct elections? Why do we even have to practice democracy during a revolution like ours? And the first thing is this: we are trying to establish the institutions which, after we have secured our territory and re-established our independence, those institutions will be used to run our government when we are in ground zero. So you will notice that the structures that we are setting now, when we started, they were not very perfect. But along the way, we are improving them. We are making them to work exactly as they should. Mistakes are being made, and those mistakes are being corrected. By the time we get to ground zero, we would have had perfect institutions that can now be, we will simply take them and use them. We will not have to try anything, experiment anything while on the ground. We will be able to hit the ground running with these institutions. I'm talking of something like the Restoration Council. The Restoration Council, some during the days of Sako, they didn't do a really great job then. But since the impeachment of Sako, the Restoration Council has worked hard to improve its image and its efficiency, and making sure that the laws of the land are upheld. So the Restoration Council of today is not the same as it was during the days of Sako. That's improvement. And that is not yet done. There are still things that need to be done to make the Restoration Council as effective as it should be. They are not yet where they should be, but you can agree with me that they've made great improvements and they will continue to make great improvements. By the time we get to ground zero, we will be ready to hit the ground running. That is why we are doing this now. We don't want to get to ground zero and then start learning everything, how to do things there. It will be too late, and there could be serious mistakes that will have catastrophic consequences. So you can understand why we're doing this now, why we have the time in the diaspora, and our fighters are doing the work on the ground. It is good to have the time now to work on these things, have them ready for when we need them. Institutions, the structures of government should be established and have them ready to go. That is why we're doing it now. Secondly, our constitution, the initial constitution we had, it's not a very perfect document. It is still not a very perfect document. But again, we are working to make sure that it is improved, that it is updated, that it has all the protections in there for the various arms of government, the checks and balances that are supposed to be there so that each arm of government is holding the other one responsible. You can see even now where during this election, you see maybe the president is claiming that, oh, I'm the one that has the most power. The Restoration Council is saying, no, we have the right to hold the president to account and to have oversight over the president. You see, we are arguing these things now and correcting these things to make sure that they are ready for when we get to ground zero. That's important. That's important because when we get to ground zero, there won't be any time to be learning anything. We will not have time to sit and learn how to do anything. We should already have working formulas to start using. That is why it is important to do what we're doing now. Now, thirdly, we have to make sure that we can have a leader that will truly take us to where. That is why we're doing these elections and doing this selection of leaders now. Imagine if we were still stuck with Sako, with all the stuff that Sako did, that we were still stuck with him up to now. Where would we be? When he was just sitting there, taking money and paying his rents and doing his business, and not caring about actually making sure that we got to where. So if we did not have the choice to choose or replace him, then we'll just sit there the whole time. That will not be helpful. So it is important that if we find that someone is not committed to the liberation of the Southern Cameroons, we should have the choice to replace that person. We should have a choice to replace him. We should not be stuck with an ineffective person who maybe cares about putting money in his pocket than liberating the homeland. I'm sure you agree with me. Yes, that is why we're doing this. And then, of course, we have to establish a democratic culture, which you know that we have been under these dictators who tend to sit tight for so many years. Ahijo was in power for, I think, close to 20 something years. Now, Pobia is in power for close to 40 years now. We have to get out of this mentality that our leaders are supposed to be there forever. No, our leaders, we have to understand that we have the right to change a leader who is not delivering the results to the people. And even if you're delivering the results to the people, you should only be there for a certain period of time. Like even the colonial France, they have, I think, 5 years each term, 2 terms, 10 years maximum, you are out. And let someone else come in and give their own try to the leadership. In America, it's 4 years each term. When a country where the leaders are frequently changed tends to improve and develop faster than one where you have a stagnant system, where you just have one old tired person sitting there year in, year out, decade after decade. Like they say, you see, um, stagnation breeds disease. Stagnation breeds disease. When you take a bucket of water and you set it out in the open for quite some time, if you go after maybe a week or something and you test the water, you realize that bacteria will start growing on the water or in the water. Bacteria will start growing in 2 weeks, more bacteria will start. So anything that sits for too long starts to develop some decay. We know that. Anything that sits for too long starts to decay. So when a leader sits for too long, they start to lose grip of why they are there. And that is why it is necessary from time to time to replace the leader, bring in someone fresh with new ideas, new ways of doing things. And then you see that things keep moving, all the countries in the world, those countries where they change their leaders frequently tend to develop more than those with sit tight leaders. Just look at around the world, any country where they frequently change their leaders, they develop, they do well more than those countries where you have one leader sitting there for so many years. Most of them, I should say. In very rare situations, you find someone who is there for long and doing well. So that is why we have to get out of this mentality that some of us, even some Ambazonians, still have not outgrown that mentality that when a leader comes in place, they have to be there forever. No, no, we have to change them. Especially if they're not doing well, we change them and bring someone else. We are not compelled to be to have someone who is not producing the results, to be stuck with someone like that. There's no reason for it. So, like I said, stagnation breeds disease, we have to get out of that mentality and make sure that we embrace this culture of always replacing our leaders periodically, making sure that we are bringing in fresh blood to fresh ideas, a fresh way of seeing things, so that we too can develop like others. Even in Africa, if you look at countries like Ghana has a system that they have frequently changed their leaders. Look at Ghana today. Ghana is doing well. Even Nigeria, as corrupt as it may be, but the fact that they change their leaders frequently, even Nigeria is way advanced than La Republic of Cameroon, way advanced. So we have to learn from it. It's not just in Europe and America, but look, even in Africa, those countries where they frequently change their leaders, they are doing a lot better. So we just have to copy that. And the fact that we're doing it now is not too early. We are trying to get into that system so that by the time we get to ground zero, we are already used to it. And all we have to do is just take and use. We don't have to invent the wheel anymore. We don't have to invent the wheel anymore. We should be used to it, and we just have to take it and practice it. So that is what I had to explain that so that we know. I would like to bring in my guests now. The numbers have increased a little bit. Please. Uh, we have uh, Comrade Tewa says that, this revolution needs a violent leader, not someone who speaks like Holy Maria. Well, that is your statement, and yep, and what you can send me. Yeah, some are saying vote for this candidate or that candidate. I cannot say that, but it is your opinion. It is your opinion, yeah, and you are very free to express that opinion. So I'll bring in my guests so we can start the discussion. I know Reverend Asong should be here, Chairman Jackson should be here, Chairman Mas should be here. All right, you can see the no nonsense. Reverend Asong is here. Okay, Dr. Dr. Tianjo is here. I think the whole team is here, and we will be giving you an exciting show. But before we get to it, I would like for my guests to introduce themselves. Reverend Asson, why don't you go first? Your image came up first, so just say hello to Ambazonians uh, during this exciting moment where we are showcasing our democracy and showing exactly how the new Ambazonia will be like. Reverend Asson.
Thank you, Chairman Mike Fusi. Greetings to all Ambazonians. Greetings, Dr. Tianjo, Chairman Maz, and all the panels. We want to invite everyone that is out there that has not joined to join us, and let's see how we can push this revolution forward. We're going to be talking on the way forward on this our Ambazonia revolution. So we just want everybody to stay focused, stay calm, don't be distracted by the noise on social media. Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Thank you for being here, Ransom. Yes, uh, Chairman Mas, if you can say hello to Ambazonians.
Well, fellow Ambazonian, thank you very much, Chairman Mike, for hosting this show. So far, it looks great. And based on your panel, Reverend Nasson, Dr. Tianjo, Chairman Jackson, it should be a great show for the Ambazonians and our friends who are out there. You're very welcome to the show, and uh, let's give us your listening ears, and we'll have a discussion, and also ask us questions so that we can talk, we can communicate. It's a two-way thing. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman Mas. I must say, I like that outfit. You look like a rebel leader, and I hope you're not trying to scare a lot of big guy. Um, yes, Dr. Tenjo, can you say hello to Ambazonians?
Okay, fellow Ambazonians, fellow comrades, I'm excited to be here today. I'm a regular customer to this house. Yeah, and I don't think that I'm going to be different. I have to be very straight. And I would like to thank Chairman Mas, thank the Reverend Song, and also Chairman Jackson, who is the campaign manager for Comrade Chris's campaign. So I'm delighted to be here today so that we can exchange ideas on how our revolution is growing. The past two debates have actually empowered me, and I'm so happy to state here that our democratic values or drive is growing fast. Based on what I saw our candidates demonstrate during a debate, I felt like I was already in a very advanced country, which we
Mhm.
are fighting for. And if we can exercise all these democratic rights, and then it would be fun having Ambazonia. And I pray that in our lifetime, we should be able to live this life in our own country, Ambazonia. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Tianjo. I don't know if Chairman Jackson is signed in yet. Is he here? Chairman Jackson, are you here? Uh, I know we just left another meeting before coming here. He probably is still getting ready. So we will continue with the panel we have now, and hopefully Chairman Jackson will be able to join us later. Now, fellow panelists, we had a highlight of the event yesterday, which was the second presidential debate for the Ambazonian presidential election. But I would like for us to take on a few other topics before we get to the analysis of the debate itself. And we have seen a few things happen during this election season, which some of it not very pleasant, some of it not very good for our democracy. And it is good that we outline some of these things and make sure that Ambazonians distinguish between good behavior and bad behavior, especially when such behavior is coming from those who ought to be leading and showing the example for what Ambazonians or the Ambazonian democracy ought to be. But when we find those in authority that should be setting the pace for the rest of us to follow, being the ones leading in the destruction of these democratic values, it becomes very concerning. And that is what I would like for us to take a look at. During the week, we saw a letter that was written by the incumbent campaign. And in this letter, they were trying to disparage the very institution that was responsible for bringing them into power. I'm here referring to the Restoration Council. Now, they called it a defunct institution. Defunct institution. That is just, it's just not, I don't know how to characterize that, but it's just not good. And they called it a defunct institution. But not only did they do that, but they went ahead now and they took this letter and the transitional president herself took this letter and sent it to one of the diplomats out there in the person of Tibo Nash. She tweeted this letter to Tibo Nash. I'm talking about the president. So and when I saw this, I just could not believe that someone who is claiming to be fighting for the liberation of the Southern Cameroons will take such a letter disparaging one of the key institutions of Ambazonia, and she took this letter and sent it to a diplomat. I mean, it is like saying you are in a locomotive and you took a piece of metal and you jam it in the wheels of that locomotive because you want it to stop. That is how I would like to characterize that behavior. It is like you are in a car driving and you all of a sudden you jumped out, took a big spoke and you put holes in the tires of that vehicle. That behavior can be equated to such an action. So I'd like to hear from you, fellow panelists, what your take is on such a behavior from the highest level of the highest authority of our government to engage in such a destructive behavior that goes to mar the very image of our struggle, knowing that it is not anybody here in the diaspora who will suffer, but rather our people on the ground who are dying every day. When every action that you take that delays this struggle results in the loss of life. How irresponsible is this behavior? Reverend Assam, I would like for you to take on this question first.
Thank you, Chairman. Greetings again to all Ambazonians. On a serious note, I really don't understand why she had to go that far or that low to tweet that letter to Tibo Nash, because Tibo Nash has nothing to do when it comes to Ambazonia election. Is what the Ambazonians want is what is going to happen. The international communities are just watching to see if we can truly respect ourselves and respect our institution. I think that's what they care about. So they don't care about whatever we are fighting, insulting, and all of that. They want to see if we can stand by our words. If we say that we believe in democracy, we believe in institutions, are we respecting those institutions? Because that's what they believe. Especially someone like Thibault Nash that has been an ambassador. He believes in respecting the institutions that he belongs to. He doesn't believe in disrespecting the same institution that gave him power when he was the ambassador or something like that. So I believe that when he saw that tweet, he must be just laughing and saying that this woman must be out of her mind to even send such letter to me.
Mhm.
You know, that's the way I look at it, because if I was in that position, that's the same way I would just look at her. I would look at her like, wow, this woman doesn't just understand what she's doing. This woman is not even fit to be a leader, because how can you be sending such a letter to someone you are thinking that can speak on your behalf, for people to take you serious, for people to know that you really mean what you say and you are putting them in practice. So I just believe that, I don't know those that are influencing her, or I don't know what was going through her mind to even go that to that extent
Mhm.
anyway. But I believe
And
that.
I cannot blame you, Ransom. I cannot blame you for not being able to understand, because I personally, I still cannot understand why she did that. I cannot fathom how she rationalized the decision to send, sit down and say, okay, this is a great thing. Let me send it to Timo Nash. Let me ask Chairman Mas. We know that even in the USA, where they have very bitter exchanges during elections, but they never end up doing anything that will be detrimental to the state. They still make sure that they remain patriotic. They focus their attacks on the candidate, on each other, but anything that will be detrimental to the state, they would never engage in that.
You're not joining the show.
I don't know if Reverend Anson is still talking. Hello?
I don't know.
Reverend Anson, can you hear me? Okay,
Are you
all
talking
right.
to me,
Chairman,
Chairman?
The question was to Chairman Mas, so you're all right.
Okay.
Chairman Mas, you can go ahead.
okay, Chairman Mike Fusi, if I may make a suggestion, just put up your volume a little bit. It's very low. But
Oh, okay.
yes, that
Let me see.
aside, concerning the incumbent, yes, it's very disgraceful and surprising that an incumbent should do the actions that she just did. You take, you're not happy with, first, let me step back a little bit. You were put in by an institution. Then the institution says, let there be election. They didn't say they want to remove you. They said they want election so that the people of Ambazonia can speak. But you say you don't want election. And you call the same people who put you in that they're flawed, all horrible names. And the same institution that who put you in, you're going to report to the rest of the world that they're not capable of doing their job. Therefore, if they're not capable of doing their job, means you're invalid. Your position is invalid. You shouldn't be there. We need to learn to respect the laws that put us in, because the problem here is really not the Constitution. It's our minds, the people's minds. Because if an unjust constitution puts you in, or a constitution that you think is incomplete puts you in, you cannot turn back and complain about those loopholes that you saw when they were putting you in. Accepting that nothing is perfect. Even the Constitution of the United States is not yet perfect. They keep improving from year to year. An Ambazonian constitution is not yet perfect, but at least it's a working document. that we can
Mhm.
use. We should not stop. We should stop insulting it and saying it's got all these flaws. And those flaws only show up when it comes to time that they call for elections, not
Mhm.
when they want to put you in. When they want to put you in, you say it's a perfect document. When they want to remove somebody to put you in, you say it's perfect. Let's use it. I can remember in March, February, March, when myself and Marianta and Abongwa were running around shouting at Sako, you don't want to stand for election. Let's follow the constitution. The constitution put Abongwa in. Following that constitution gave him the opportunity to be president. It was the constitution they used. But they refused to follow that constitution. Well, they refused. He turned down the position. But now it's come for the time that Maranta needs to stand for election. She's now refusing to follow that same constitution that put him in. Put her in. Why? Ambazonians, I don't think the problem is the constitution, it's the mentality of our people. It's the greed that we have. It's not the constitution. Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Chairman Mas. Thank you, Chairman Mas. I hope my volume is high enough now.
Increase it a little
Let's
bit
look at
more.
it. Oh, okay. Let me see. I don't know what is happening, but yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. You see. Like you rightly said, uh, this is the same Restoration Council that impeached Sako and put in Marianta. And worse still, Marianta was never even elected. She was never elected. And then she was put in there just to manage the transitional period. And after that, there was supposed to be elections. And she was okay with that condition at the time. What has happened now that she now sees it as such a terrible thing, and she's now turned around trying to do the same thing that Sako did. When Sako tried to dissolve the Restoration Council, this action is like someone who uses a ladder to climb up a tree to harvest a fruit and then kicks the ladder down and say, you know what, I've climbed up the tree. I don't need you anymore. That is exactly what this behavior can be likened to. Uh, Dr. Tianjo, I'd like for you to just give us your take on this behavior and why do these people keep behaving this way? Are they really patriots or they're opportunists?
Okay. One thing that I would like Ambazonians to know is that we have a constitution which is building. What I mean is that is constantly it needs some development, and these developments were good from the beginning, and we've been adding things to it, and it gives the Restoration Council the power to make changes when appropriate, and which means that they can actually look at the situation and then adjust the constitution to meet the changing times that we are experiencing in this revolution.
Mhm.
And that is why the Restoration Council sat down, and then they had to, after Sako was impeached, and then Marianta was chosen. At the time that Marianta was chosen, this constitution was a very, very powerful tool to them. The
Mhm.
Restoration Council was a very powerful institution to them. They all hailed all sort of praises at the Restoration Council, praising them for a good job well done, because self-interest was a matter at this moment. And one thing I would like to remind us is that as a transitional government, Marianta was not supposed to run for this election. But this Restoration Council sat down and thought that let them give her a chance on conditions that some of them explained to the other members of the house that why, if she does some great work, why, if during these 5 months she's able to take us to Boya, or during these 5 months she's able to initiate a breakthrough that is going to move our revolution forward? Will you not allow her to continue? That was the argument that was put in place to win the support of registration council members for her to run for this election. Now, there was no complaint. The election was launched, the electoral laws were all made and given to her through the Judiciary Council, which is part of the presidency. And now everything was approved. And then when candidates pop up, they started pulling the goalpost, changing the position of the goalpost, throwing tantrums, sending letters to the registration council every now and then, requesting for changes and changes and changes, endless changes up to today. I just want to take this opportunity to explain to Ambazonians who might be confused out there or do not have the education about what is going on. There is a problem with the leaders that we are having in our revolution. Sako did the same thing, refused elections, and then Marianta now came on board, and she has run away from the elections, and then she went as far as declaring the Restoration Council defunct, and then canceling the election. I don't know who is advising this woman. I don't know where the kind of constitution they used or the piece of advice that has been going to her or given to her to think that she has the powers to dissolve the Restoration Council as well as cancel elections called by Ambazonians. So,
Dr. Chanjo, since you touched on that point, that's where I was going next. The idea that uh, the transitional president came out and said she has canceled the elections, but it wasn't very clear because soon after she said that, they went to the Restoration Council. Mind you, that the same Restoration Council they already said was defunct. They went to the same Restoration Council again, asking them to what was the request they went there for? The last request was what
to
again?
disqualify Comrade Chris because he has a court case pending.
Yeah, after that, that was after that. The recent trip they went there for, they were trying to adjust the number of LGS. They went there requesting
LGS.
that the number of LGS that are eligible to vote should be adjusted to meet what they want. The same Restoration Council they already said was defunct. And that was already the 20 something of August. That is when they went there. So that is why during the last outing with the Restoration Council, I asked them directly, does the president have the authority to cancel elections? And we all heard the Restoration Council members saying it is not within the authority of the president to cancel any election. It is the authority lies with the Restoration Council and the Electoral Commission. They are the ones managing elections. I think probably we have been with La Republic of Cameroon for too long, and some of us, despite the fact that we have structures out here clearly spelling how things should be done, still people still continue thinking that we are right back in La Republic of Cameroon because I don't know how she rationalized the idea that it is within her authority to cancel elections. If you could just comment on that before Chairman Mars and Reverend Asson can come in.
Yes, my line of thought was I am already condemning that act because I do not think that it is within her constitutional rights to cancel elections of Ambazonia, elections called by the Registration Council. They created the electoral board, which they all used their manipulations trying to dissolve it so that elections should not hold for Ambazonians. But let me tell you this, Chairman Mike, it really baffles me to see somebody who came in and with that huge support that we have never had a woman as a president, but this woman came in as a president but has been very destructive to the same institutions that put her there. And then we had a diplomatic mission which she never supported, but she had the impetus. to descend from to go that low, posting a letter that she sent to the Restoration Council, calling it defunct, and uh, disrespecting our institutions, disrespecting our electoral laws, disrespecting our people to a diplomat. You think that a diplomat is stupid as they are? No, absolutely. He is going to see that the kind of leaders that we choose to lead us begin our failures. And this is a woman who is a loser who has escaped, who ran away from elections at the campaign, and then went and hired talks to come on social media and be insulting people. I am still to hear one of her members or campaign team articulate what she is running on and what she has been doing in this revolution. All they know are insults, insults, and insults. So it is not something that just came out, but it is a plan, a well calculated plan to sabotage our democratic process. And she is not
Thank,
fit. That shows the highest level of incompetence in
thank
our
you, thank
revolution.
you,
Thank you.
thank you, thank you, Dr. Tanjo. I think Chairman Jackson is with us now. But let me go to Chairman Mars with this question because besides trying to uh, dissolve or to suspend the elections, she also tried to take away the, the treasury. And we understand that even as we speak, the transitional president is keeping some money that belongs to the Ambazonian people, as well as one of her surrogates here, I'm referring to Nanchop, is keeping some of our money. Chairman Mas, can you throw some light into what is going on here? How is it that money that ought to be in the treasury is in private accounts? Why is that?
Chairman, Honorable Mike, Chairman Mike, thank you for that question.
No.
Let me just say a little bit about the defunct. You call somebody defunct, you call an institution the Defunct Restoration Council, then you're the very next person to go back to them to say they should make some modifications on rules so they can favor you. Are they defunct or they're not? That's the first thing we should ask. Are they defunct or they're not? If they're defunct, why go back to them? That's one. Talking about the monies, Ambazonia monies in private accounts, yes, let me state it on the record today. There is Ambazonia money in the accounts of the president. There's Ambazonia money in the account of another comrade, and there's Ambazonia money in my keeping. And those monies were moved there for safety. I'm not going to go into details how the money came about, but that money cannot be used yet. But we needed the money in the national treasury. It's come to light that Madam President and her supporter or hand clapper are not willing. They're not supportive to bring back the money into the Ambazonian coffers. We've asked, we instructed her to use some money. We've asked for some receipts or proofs of payments, and up to date, she's not produced those. It's been going on now for almost 7 weeks, and it's about time Ambazonian people know. She's been doing some attempts to try and take over the national treasury, but we can tell her that the Ambazonian people will fight this. We were slack enough for Sako to attempt it in February, March, but it's not going to happen this time. Let her, you can take that to the bank. We're not going to let her
Thank
take
you,
it.
thank you, Chairman Mas. We have a situation where uh, leaders who come in find it very difficult respecting the institutions or the structures of government. Each one that comes in tries to just defy the laws, the constitution, and they think they can do whatever they want, as if those structures do not exist or they were there just as a formality. Chairman Jackson, you are the chairman of Comrade Chris's campaign. Assuming that you were to win, what are you going to do to make sure that this behavior comes to an end, that we are able to respect the institutions of the republic? That when a law says elections have to be controlled or managed by the Electoral Commission and or the Restoration Council, that it ends there, that the president does not try to alter the laws. Take the example of the United States. You cannot imagine that Biden or Donald Trump will go and dictate to the Electoral Commission in the United States on how the elections should be run. We saw the trouble that Trump got into when he tried even to influence the outcome of the last election. He is still in trouble as we speak. He's not gotten out yet. And that is how things are supposed to be. Laws are meant to be respected. So, Chairman Jackson, before I go back to Reverend Hassan, can you tell us what you think we can do to prevent this? And our case is even more difficult because we're dealing at this moment in a virtual environment where it becomes very difficult to physically get hold of some of these individuals.
All right, thank you.
What are you planning to do? Yeah.
All right, thank you. I greet everybody that is already on the panel. Yes, yeah, first of all, I'll just answer this question straight away by saying that first of all, it has to start from the character of the people that we have as the leaders at the helm of our organizations. The leadership is very important, very, very important. The character of the people. I will tell this house and everybody listening that Secretary Chris has shown some of the problems we're dealing with, that he can handle them as a man. Let's take, for instance, when he was removed from the state TV as the government spokesperson and communication secretary, we understand how he handed ABC to the government, to Sako at the time. And that is why we still have ABC with Sako, because Secretary Chris wanted to respect the laws. It is in his character to do that. And that is where it has to start. We have to know the people we put in place to lead us. Number two, it is very important that we look at our institutions. We look at those institutions that have been stable enough so that they can get an oversight of especially our treasury, because the situation with the Ambazonian treasury is very, very critical and anemic, and it's repetitive in the sense that anytime somebody thinks that they don't want to move, they hold funds and they don't want to go. It is getting too much, and me sitting here and talking about it, I'm ashamed. I'm ashamed of ourselves. I'm ashamed of the Mariantas. I'm ashamed of everybody that is doing this, is supporting her, because you can't be a president for 5 years, 4 months, 5 months, sorry, and you have funds in accounts that are not in the national treasury, and you continue to preside over accounts that are in private hands. That alone disqualifies you. That alone tells us the type of person that you are. And that is the question I went out the other day to ask. As the leader of this IG, why are you sitting there? And in the first place, why are you as the president don't set the example? You should be the first one to say, okay, I have this money that was put in my account in an emergency situation. I need to transfer that money to the national treasury. That is when you know the pedigree, you know the substance of the leaders we're dealing with. So it boils back to the people we are putting in place to lead us. They need to show us some examples. I can hear you. You're muted.
Thank you. That is what I said in my opening statement that the reason we are doing what we're doing now, which some people have been questioning why we are even engaging in a democratic process, why in a revolution. And I'm saying we are doing this so we can already weed out the bad elements within our struggle. Because imagine if we got to ground zero with someone like Sako, what a failed state we would have had. So why we're doing this here is to already, we are training ourselves on management. We are training ourselves in the practice of democracy. We are training ourselves in the establishment of our institutions so that when we get to ground zero, we will only have to just take what we have already prepared and practice it. So, given that, I would like to go to Reverend Asson and ask this idea of keeping the people's money and even boasting about it because they, we all know that cabinet has all escaped, but the few people she was able to get, I don't know how many of them were the so-called cabinet meeting, and that she went in there and she was being very boastful that she's not going to give back the money, but the money belongs to Ambazonians. So, with this such behavior, what options do you think are available to Ambazonians to hold these people accountable or responsible, and to get what belongs to the people? It is money that belongs to the people. It is not her money. She has no right to hold it, and but she's boasting that she's not going to give it. So, what options are available out there? I don't want. There's no need exposing any sensitive information, but is there an option for the Amazonian people to get back their money? Reverend Hassan.
Thank you, Chairman. We thank God for opening our eyes to really observe this moment for all Ambazonians, for what is really happening. So the whole issue that Madam President Mariata came out to tell people that she believed in accountability and actions it was just a distraction, because in a lot of instances there are requisitions that they have put my signatures without me even being aware of. So if they have to really go for this audit, they might be asking me some questions of some monies that I have no clue about it.
Mm-hmm.
Despite the fact that I'm a defense person, they just use my signature to do some requisitions without my knowledge. So it really baffles me. But that brings me to the point that Ambazonians have to be wise, and we have to thank God for this moment, for opening our eyes to really see the kind of people that we are dealing with. And it's a good thing that we are practicing this democracy and making sure that we enforce our institution before we get down to ground zero. So when we get down to ground zero, we must have scrutinized people and know exactly those that can really lead Ambazonians when we get down to ground zero. Imagine if we went to ground zero with Sako Ekome, and only for us to get there and discover that this is really who Sako Ekome is. And as if that was not enough, Marietta initially, I was completely against her being the president, because I heard a lot of noise from the Europeans, the Ambazonians in Europe, that were saying that she's not fit to be a leader. But I later on threw my support behind her, thinking that as a sister, I can throw my weight behind her. We can work as women and change the game on the ground. But later, late, later on, I realized that it was not what I was thinking. So I had to just back out. And it's good that Amazonians are really seeing her true character, and those that were completely against her in Europe, we want to just apologize for all of you who made some audios and say Marietta is not fit to be the president. You guys know her, and we were against some of you people for saying that, and we want to apologize for that. But Amazonians, we have to wake up. We have to wake up. We don't believe in individuals. We believe in strong institutions, and this democracy must be implemented. We cannot watch individuals try to dictate how our democracy will go on ground zero. We, the people of Ambazonians, are going to dictate our own democracy. Few individuals will not. will not impose the way they want democracy to run in Ambazonia. It's going to be a collective ideas. Collective ideas. You come up together with ideas and you put it together and we move forward from there. So if she's still keeping our money and she's refusing from what we heard, I'm really, really, really shocked because the boys on the ground needed granite. And I even tried to pursue them that they should give some money so we can get enough granite for these boys so that they can continue to increase the firepower. But none of them ever made me to understand that there was some money in people's private account in Europe. And these boys are crying every single day that they need granite. And this is Ambazonia money sitting in some people's account in Europe, and our children are dying on a single day. And people are here talking about accountability and transparency. I was so shocked when I heard that there were money in people's private account in Europe. And this ARF keep bugging my phone on a daily basis for the past 3 months that they need granite. And yet, Madam President keeps saying there is no money, of which we have Ambazonians' money in people's private account. It's terrible. Those are some of the things that make me feel like I am not willing to throw my weight behind her anymore. Because once I realize that you are dishonest, I don't feel comfortable working with dishonest people. And that's me. For those that know me know that I don't fool around when it comes to being straight. And if anybody has to play game with me, I don't even hesitate to come out and say it the way it is. But some people are out there, they are just happy, insulting, assassinating people's character. We have passed that stage. This debate has gone through. We thank God for making us being a part of this debate, for making us witness the debate. It was successful. We want to appreciate the Restoration Council for holding their grounds. We want to appreciate ECA for holding their grounds, for not allowing some few individuals to toss them around. We appreciate you people and we'll continue to throw our weight behind our institution. And even who wins this election, be it Secretary Chris or Maji, if they win this election and tomorrow they say they are not going to respect the institutions, we are still going to vote them out. We will not be scared to vote anybody out who is against our institution or democracy in Ambazonia. It doesn't matter how many IG, like some people are claiming, that how many IGs are you guys going to get? I just want to make it clear out there to all Ambazonians. When it comes to democracy and our institutions, we are not going to fool around with that for no second. We're going to make sure that we enforce those institutions and nobody born by a woman can toast it around. Let me also make this very clear. When the modalities of these elections were sent out to Madam President, she did not, did not even bother to bring those modalities to her cabinet for all of us to collectively look at it and chip in our own opinions. It was just between her and the vice president. How can you be a member of a cabinet and decisions are being made and you are not aware of, and you just hear them on the street? And some people think that you should just be there as a carbon print or as a I don't understand some Ambazonians. I cannot belong to an institution where my inputs do not count. I would rather
Yeah,
chicken out.
yeah, Azon, let us, we will transition into the elections proper. But let me say this, as you have rightly mentioned, that Madam President, even her constituency in the UK, where she is resident, is not constituted. The UK is not constituted. And before her election or she being selected to lead this transitional period, a lot of voices came from Europe and they decried that decision because they complained that while as the chairperson for that region, when her mandate had expired, she decided to stay on and did not want to leave. She did not want to call for any elections so that someone else could come into play. And even as we speak, even as transitional president, she is still sitting there as the chair of UK. So for that reason, the rest of the members abandoned the group and she's there alone. UK is not constituted. There will be nobody voting from the UK in the countries and regional as a country or regional coordinator for that region. There's nobody there because that region is not constituted because her members completely abandoned her for the fact that she refused to stand for election. So this behavior is just coming to light now, but those in the UK had already known it way back then. So I just want this to be known to the Ambazonian people. But let's transition to the elections, which, of course, Madam President was like, "Am I going to take part? Am I not going to take part?" She wanted to rig the elections to make sure that she will win before taking part. Talk about La Republique, and we say we're running away from La Republique to Cameroon. That is typical of La Republique. That you want to make sure that you are the one who is going to win before you take part in the elections. How is how, how can someone think that Ambazonians will sit and take that at this time? You keep bringing one recommendation or one request after the other. When one is satisfied, you go and bring another one. And other requests were submitted, as the Restoration Council mentioned, as late as the 21st of August. That's when some of those requests came in, way past the date for the submission of applications. How possible is that? So, leading into the elections, we know that Madam President completely absconded from the debates. She could not come on stage to debate because, as you know, she is someone who does not like taking questions, like all dictators. So, uh, Chairman Jackson, what do you make of the fact that Madam President could not even muster the courage to come on stage and debate the issues like other candidates? What does that tell of her confidence in herself and a mastery of the issues and a willingness to be questioned on the truth of the issues that are at stake during this election? What does that say of her character? Chairman
Well,
Jackson.
yes. First of all, it just it shows off how she even came to power. I mean, I even have cabinet members telling me that she did not even declare in her own cabinet that she was running, and she has
Yeah, I
somebody
can
as
attest to
vice.
that.
Yes, you have somebody as vice president who has been hiding somewhere and pushing, sneaking pieces of papers for people to put out. I mean, this guy. I mean, how are you a vice president that you don't even come out to address the people of Ambazonia, to even tell them the good things you have been doing as they claim, but you hide behind, you push pieces of papers out there for people to, and it is even shameful that she could not even screw up the courage to come and talk. If you look at the development of things, let me tell Ambazonians, President Ian Marianta was ready to have Chairman Mas as the running as the opposition candidate.
Mhm.
So the day Secretary Chris announced his candidature, that was the day after that they start flooding Restoration Council with changes. We need this change. They start crying like babies. My question is, what is it about Secretary Chris that they're so scared? That La Republic is so scared? That even the Sako faction is so scared of?
Mhm.
And she comes here to tell Ambazonian that she canceled the elections. How how possible, how feasible is that? I wonder if this lady is really living in the UK, or she has not learned anything living in the UK. How dare you even do to put shame on Ambazonian that you want to cancel the election? You know you don't have the authority to do that. This is something that is planned in the constitution that it has to take place on a certain day. You come up, you say you are dissolving it. I don't know why she's smoking or drinking. It's just horrible. And it just makes us look like idiots. All of us.
Mhm.
If we have leaders like this. And I hope this doesn't happen in Ambazonia again. And even Sexy Chris cannot do this. The day he does it, I'll turn my back on him. And you
And
go back.
Chairman Mars, Chairman Jackson, like you already said, which is why we are emphasizing on the respect of the institutions. But the problem is that Ambazonians over and over again pay allegiance to individuals instead of the republic, instead of the state, instead of the institutions. People pay loyalties to individuals, and we tend to be so attached to them. And some even go as far as saying, if this person doesn't win, then I'm out of the struggle. Then you are not a patriot. You are not a patriot because you are not there to worship and glorify an individual. You are in this struggle for Ambazonia, not for Marianta, not for Anu, not for Gertrude, not for any other person. You are in it for the nation. And when you
Chairman,
understand that, then you cannot go paying loyalties to an individual, as some people are
Chairman,
doing. Yes.
Chairman, you see, these individuals, we know about them, but as I told you, these individuals they are playing their role. That's what they have been asked to do. They are playing their role and they're playing it well. That's why you cannot see Abongwa. That's why you can't see Marianta, because these are the people they have sent out there. They are tag dogs to come and make the case for them. Or what still? They want the whole process to be bad. They want to muddy the waters. They want people to believe that it's a flawed process. But I thank the Restoration Council for their tenacity. They've been so tenacious during this period, and they have adjusted. They've even bent backward to accommodate these individuals.
Accommodate. Yeah.
They have done everything, but it's never enough with them. And because
Okay,
all this is
let,
happening, because Secretary Chris is standing. I mean, it is
let me
just
let me go to Chairman Mars.
All
Chairman
right.
Mars. The issue with us Ambazonians is, like we have said, people, we tend to be loyal to individuals than to the state of Ambazonia. You see, because I have even had some Sako loyalists reaching out to me and say, "Oh, that is your Marianta now. Why are you against her?" I say exactly for the same reason, because I don't believe in individuals. I was in support of Marianta yesterday, but she has betrayed me. She has betrayed the country of Ambazonia, and that is why I'm against her. Unlike you, who is clinging on to Sako, even when Sako is nowhere, but you are hanging on to an emperor. We are here conducting elections, and Sako refused to go in for elections, but you are still there. And that is what Ambassadors need to understand. We are holding elections today. Whoever wins this election, if you go in there and tomorrow you start doing something else, count on the fact that I personally will be against you. I will be against you because I pay no loyalties to individuals, but to the Federal Republic of Amazonia. If we all can have that kind of mindset, these issues will go away. But as long as we continue to pay loyalties to individuals, that's where the problem is. So, Chairman Mas, I want you to comment on this.
Thank you, Chairman Mike Fusi, for that. The problem is that we need to stop paying allegiance to an individual. We pay allegiance to the flag, to our nation. And Marianta and her followers need to know that Ambazonians have gone beyond the point of following individuals. Marianta thinks that all the things she's been doing, we don't know. We know her record in the UK. We know of her track record in Europe. She has never stood for elections. She doesn't want this election right from day one. The only election that she would have accepted was if she was the only candidate, not even against Chairman Mas. She wouldn't have stood a chance. She is not after any elections. She just wants to be the queen, Just leave her there alone. But it's not going to happen. We are not a kingdom. She is a candidate. She was an incumbent. She was favored because they gave her, the Restoration Council even gave her the opportunity to look at the election modalities before any other candidate. No other candidate had an input into those modalities once they declared or once they knew they were going to be a candidate. No other person. But she was given the room to look at the modality and say, okay, I don't like this, I like this. She and her Abongwa scored it 95% perfect. After that, they brought in 8 points. The Restoration Council sat down with them, looked at those 8 points, accepted some and rejected some. So it's way above 95% now. Yet she still does not want elections because we have other contenders. She just wanted to run alone. To her, that is election. That's her own, in her mind, democratic election is when she is alone running and voted. That's what she calls democracy. But it's not going to work. The Ambazonians are smarter than that. We want to show the world that we can govern ourselves democratically. We want to show the world that we can choose our own people. The institution that put you in, when it comes to saying you should go for election, you turn against them because all they did was say, let's go for election. Nothing else. If they had said to Marianta, run for another 5 years, she would not have turned her back on them and say, well, you poor defunct. No, she would not. But because they said, let's go for democratic elections, all of a sudden they become defunct by her definition. And that's not acceptable. We will not let Marianta drag us into the mud like this. It's about time she and her few supporters come to the elections on Tuesday and get the results. They should stop running and hiding. I hear she says she's still going to be the president beyond Tuesday, whether they like it or not. Whom is she frightening? Let her become president and let her stay there. And the new government, whoever wins, whether it's Senator Chris or Margaret Road, if I'm part of that government in any shape or form, or I'm still an Ambazonia, that breakaway that she's thinking she will create will have to fail because we will not tolerate that. It's about time. And even Secretary Chris or Margaret Road, anyone who wins, if they think that they will go against our institutions and get my support, then they got it wrong. Our institutions are institutions. They may not be the best in the world, but they're working. Let's use it and improve it, not turn against it.
Thank you, Chairman March. Thank you very much. Even as we speak right now, VP Abongwa is out there saying that they prefer that only LGA chairs should vote. Remember that this condition is just coming late in August. The modalities came out in, I think, April or May. They had no concern with those modalities. These requirements that are now coming in were not requested at the time. But now that elections are around the corner, all of a sudden, they are saying, oh, but why are countries and regions voting? Why is the Restoration Council voting? Only RGA chairs should vote. But let me put this in context. We should remember that all along, for the first two presidents being Ayuktabe and Sako, only the countries and regions voted. Only the countries and regions voted. It is only now that the Electoral College has been expanded to include the RC and LGHS. Now, Mr. VP says, well, let's even do away with those who had always voted and let's just allow only the LGHS to vote. I mean, Who gives them that authority to determine who votes and who does not vote? Your job as an executive is to execute what the lawmakers have passed and put on your table. You don't make laws and then pass them yourself or execute them yourself. That is not the job of the executive. That is why it's called executive. You execute. Someone else makes the laws, you execute. That's how it works. So, Dr. Chenjo, what do you make of this late requirement from the Marianta campaign that the countries and regional coordinators should be eliminated from the Electoral College as well as the Restoration Council members? Understandably, of course, they've been insulting these people all along. So they've stepped on quite a good number of toes, and now they want to simply sweep these people away and make them irrelevant to accommodate their own wishes. What do you have to say about this attitude? Dr. Chanjo, are you there?
Here, I'm here.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
Yes, take on this question, please.
Yes, I'm saying that it is really delusional for somebody to start to continue shifting the goalposts. Let me tell you, let me surprise Ambazonians. VP Abongwa's LGA is not constituted and not eligible to vote. The country where he resides in Italy is not constituted, and there's no country head there to vote. UK, where Marianta resides, is not constituted, and no country head there to vote. And I've not concluded on this, but it looks like her own LGA is not also constituted. You see, these are losers, individuals who think that they can shift the goalposts every moment they feel uncomfortable. They are so anxious in such a way that once they see something that does not favor them, they want to get rid of it and then lean on something that they might help them, even if it falls within the constitutionality of the country or of our constitutions. So you can
No,
see
yes.
that these individuals are doing everything to disrupt this election. Starting from their campaign, this can give you an idea. Their campaign was built on insults, no language articulation, no message articulation, no message for the president, nothing was said even about what the president has been able to do for the 5 months. All they did was to come on and insult Ambazonians. A poor campaign organization, which means that they had known that they were not going to win. And the only thing they had to do was to present themselves as deterrents to our electoral process, which is going on. You rightly said it. The country and regional coordinators are those who voted for Siseko, voted for Sako, and then how come out of a sudden you develop this idea of eliminating this core electorate, and then you want to replace them with LGAs? Because and look at even the LGAs. How many LGAs were constituted under the recalibration government? Very few. And those that were constituted well, the maximum number of people you can find there will be like 20. But the rest are just existing because they feel like existing. How would you call an LGA with 2 members, 3 members as an LGA, as a functional LGA? It doesn't work. Things don't work like that. So
Do
to
you know
them,
that I'm live on
doing
TV?
this is a complete failure and very
Then
disappointing
why
to
are you
Ambazonians that you
interrupting,
are going to
disrupting me?
restrict the electorate
There's
only to
some noise
people
coming
that
from somewhere.
you feel.
And there's
Am
some
I? Are
background
you?
noise coming from somewhere. I don't know where that is. Yeah, but continue.
Yes. So it is really baffling to think that these individuals want to win an election through adjusting the electorates to their own favor. Things
Mhm,
don't work like that. That is no more
mhm,
democracy. That is not the kind of country we are fighting for. And it puzzles me because the mentality, La Republic mentality, instilled with these people. And I still do not think that they are clean, because they must be importing some knowledge from La Republic to come to here to and be manipulating Ambazonians. First of all, how did they even get to power? That is a question. They were dishonest. They betrayed other people to get to that position or those positions. And today, they are here trying to stay in power. If you were that popular, if I were the president, I will run based on my achievements. And I will tell Ambazonians, I did this, I did that, I did this, I did that. Vote me on this. I'm ready to do more if I have more time. But you cannot come and you don't have anything to offer and you keep on changing the goalpost. Mendankwe, where the
Yeah,
VP comes from, is not constituted.
yeah,
And they're not going to
yeah,
vote.
yeah,
Italy is
yeah.
not constituted. They're not going to vote.
And Dr. Tenjo, just following up on you there. Let's even as let, I'm not saying that we have to accept them dictating, but I can assure you that even amongst the LGAs that they are now pretending to endorse as the only electorate, if the elections were to be conducted even amongst the LGAs only, they still will not win. But what the main thing they are trying to do is just to give a reason to not take part in the election. Because even among the LGAs, if all of the LGAs, the constituted LGAs, were to vote today, Marianta would not win. That's a fact. But like
Yes.
you rightly said, you cannot be a player in a field of play, and you keep saying, okay, but before I get into the pitch of play, you have to increase the goalpost by 2 meters or 3 meters. If you don't increase the goalpost size by 2 meters or 3 meters, I'm not going to take part. But the question is there any specific advantage to anyone else? How are the modalities as they exist? Do they favor any particular candidate more than them? And the answer is no. The modalities as they exist do not favor any particular candidate more than themselves. If there's anything that has happened, is the fact that they have disparaged, their surrogates have insulted and abused the RC, and they didn't see themselves not having favors in there, and because of that they come out and say, okay, eliminate them, don't let them vote because we have insulted them so much and now they hate us, so we don't want them to vote. Reverend Assom, I don't know if, it's like I'm dreaming. It's like I'm dreaming. What is your take on this behavior? Because it sounds crazy, but it is real. This is what these people are asking. Is there any sense in it? Is it even rational? Mm.
Well, it just doesn't make sense. It's like they are just being selfish. That's how I would consider them. They are just being selfish and not appreciating of what the Restoration Council did to them. And Marietta doesn't have a mind on her of her own. She solely depends on VP Dr. Abongwa. Whatever Dr. Abongwa says is what Marietta goes with. She will
Mhm.
not even seek advice from her advisory council to find out if what she's doing is right or no. All she knows is if Abongwa says is good, she's okay with it. And that's why she
Mhm.
finds herself where she is now. Because if you think that the only intelligent Ambazonia that is in this revolution is Dr. Abongwa, then you will always fail. You find yourself in this mess, because it's just not even fair. That's why at the town hall, I told the RC that after this election, any other president that wants to run for election, they have to ask them a question before sending modalities for them to approve it and sign it. They need to have a document. Let them sign that they are not going to run. If they sign that they are going to run, then they have no input on the election modality,
Of
because the
course.
fact that they gave this Marietta that opportunity to put an input on the election modality is what is driving her crazy. it makes her feel like she has the final say with Dr. Abongwa, and they keep jumping from one excuse to the other, from one excuse to the other. But the best thing is that they have already disqualified themselves, because if you have the guts to go out there on social media and call the Restoration Council, the same institution that made you president, you call them as dysfunction or defunct. I mean, it just stupefy yourself, even going out there again to talk anything about the election. It just doesn't make sense to me, because if I say something is defunct, I have no business with that thing. So, but you still see them coming up with one story or the other, one story or the other. It's like they are just confused, and they are trying to distract as many Ambazonians as possible. And I hope Ambazonians will not fall for this cheap game that they are trying to play out there with some few individuals that are seeking for attention. Ambazonians should just focus. We have passed the stage of going back and forth. We are very focused. This election is taking place on Tuesday. If they want to join and conduct their elections so they can have some few votes, good and fine for them. They still have the opportunity to come back on board if they realize themselves. But if they keep going on social media talking trash, it's just not going to help them, but it's going to destroy their career for the rest of their life. Because even when we get to Ambazonia, people will not want to vote leaders like that are inconsistent, that cannot stick to their own word. I believe that Chairman Mike Fusi, if Marianta and Abongwa brought these modalities to the cabinet and seek the opinions of all the cabinet members, I'm pretty sure that some of us would have contributed some ideas. But since they know that they too have the final say, look at where they have landed themselves. And now they want to turn around and tell Ambazonians that, what I did or in May or June was not correct. I mean, like, excuse me, are we kidding? Are you kidding us here? Are we kids? Even kids will not play around the way they are trying to play around. You approve a document in the month of May, and in the month of August, you want the same organization
Document.
or institution that you have classified as defunct to go back and revisit it. Are you kidding me here? Are we kids? We're not going to fall into those traps. Anyway, we have passed that stage and we are moving forward. If she is interested in this election, join us on Tuesday and let's see if you will win. If not, please stay quiet and stop distracting Ambazonians. That's all I can tell Ambazonians out there. Don't be distracted. Stay focused. Election is on the 6th, which is on Tuesday. And even if Secretary Chris or Mama G wins, and tomorrow they want to challenge the same institutions, we are not going to stand behind them. We are going to challenge them as we are doing right now. So it's not about who you know in this revolution. I'm not in this revolution for who I know. No, I'm here for the flag. I'm here for the flag and the institution, and I'm going to stand by the flag until we get to Buea. There's no way out about it. Thank you.
Thank you, Ransom. Yeah, as you mentioned, you cannot imagine that someone or a campaign that has had so much input into the modalities. They have had a lot of input. When the document was presented to them, they reviewed it and they requested for, I think, 8 modifications to the document. At least 4 were accommodated. At least 4. No other candidate has had the advantage of changing even one item on the modalities. Not one. They are the only ones that have been given an unfair advantage with regards to the modalities. And yet, these are the same individuals who are crying and wailing, and they're on the ground screaming the loudest, when they are the ones that have had the most advantage in the development of these modalities than any other candidate. So it is just it goes to prove that these people did not want the elections in the first place. They just did not want the elections. It has nothing to do with the modalities. They just want to continue giving one excuse after the other. I can assure you that if this current request that they are asking now were if they were their concerns were accommodated, they will come up with yet something else. That, okay, since you have changed this one, just change this one too. And if you change that one, they will go to something else, because the greatest fear is that they don't want to stand this election because I don't care what changes are made on that document, they still will not win this election. I don't see them winning this election because of what they have done, the insults that their campaign manager is out there calling people names every day. They have alienated themselves against a lot of the electorate because of the way they have conducted themselves during this campaign. From the start, they had a good chance, but they themselves messed up their own campaign. So I want us to transition to what happened yesterday, the second presidential debate. A great moment for Ambazonia where we showcased our democracy to the rest of the world. We saw candidates articulate their ideas of where they want to take Ambazonia, how they want to conduct this war. The ideas were out there for Ambazonians to listen to. And it was a very educative moment, a pace setting moment for Ambazonians and the world to see what exactly we are talking about when we talk about re-establishing or restoring our democracy that was stolen from us. So I want us to take a dig at the debate, your overall assessment of the presentations or the conduct of the debate from the moderators to the candidates themselves. I'll start with you, Chairman Jackson, your overall appraisal of the debates of yesterday.
Well, I'll first of all start by saying that my candidate did well. Uh,
That's
he,
expected, though.
yeah, he did a wonderful job. He understands the situation in which we find ourselves presently, and he articulated the things that we need to do uh, in a very charismatic manner. But again, I will give thanks to uh, Mama G for standing up and toe to toe with Secretary Chris yesterday. That shows the magnitude of her strength and the ability for Ambazonians to move to grow this democracy. I know that democracy is not something that is always finished. It's never. Even United States is still trying to build their own democracy. So I think we're having baby steps, but they're baby steps that are moving towards the right direction. And it was just unfortunate that the incumbent covered up. There was an opportunity for her to come and present her case to Ambazonians. And if she has problems with the rules, this was a time for her to come and say it. But she was hiding somewhere in London or in Leicester, wherever she is. And to me, it was a failure for her part, but it was success of democracy because abstinence is still part of the democratic process. I'm happy that
Mm,
Ambazonians are growing to understand that if you decide to abstain, that is still your right in a democratic process. So overall,
mm,
it was a first in its kind, and I want to appreciate the work ECA is doing and how independent they've been, and the Restoration Council that has been the mentor. I understand that anytime it doesn't favor you, you want to go out there and insult people, but I think that um, they are doing good for the first time, and it's something that is we're managing virtually for the first time. Before I leave, let me just say one thing for something we said in the last segment. Uh, I believe out of 9 LGA in Indian, where Marianta comes from, only 2 are constituted. I mean, miserable 2. And then Abungwa goes up to say that only LGAs should vote. Are you not shooting herself in the foot again? I mean, sometimes I don't understand the thought process of these our friends, our comrades. Maybe they just jumbled themselves in some bubble. Now they're finding that there's no exit route. But anyway, our debates will be good. Next time when we are in Boya, I think they'll be fantastic. Thank you.
thank you, Chairman Jackson. I would like Chairman Mas to give his own appraisal of the overall conduct of the debates, the articulation from each candidate, the handling of the debates by the moderators, the timekeeper. Just give us your overall appraisal, please. I think your mic is
Moderating.
off. Okay. You're good now. You're
Thank you
good
for
now.
this great moderation. I would like to give a motion of appreciation to Chairman Jackson for his bravery in thinking that his candidate did better than Mama G. I'm sure everybody saw Mama G in action yesterday. But before that, I would say the moderators of the debate they did a fantastic job. They did a great job in putting that together. But it was a shame that Marianta could not gather the courage to come and stand in front of the Ambazonian people and speak. Instead of hiding behind the camera, doing in some recorded studio and reading some stuff given to her by Abongwa. She needs to come and talk to the people and answer questions directly to the people. But coming back to my candidate, Mama G, showed and told the Ambazonian people what she would do when she's voted into the government. And the Ambazonian people can bet that that's exactly what she would do. But beyond that, following our victory on Tuesday night, we'll be calling on all parties, including Secretary Chris and his team, calling Marianta who didn't come, to all come and let's work as Ambazonians. We're Ambazonians here. We're not individuals. Until somebody decides that I'm not coming, we will give them the opportunity to come to the table, including Marianta and Abongwa. To come and join us. Let's build a strong government or strong rules that will take us to Ambazonia and policies. But the debate was brilliant, and I hope we all listened to it. The policies were all spelled out. Let's remember, in 3 years' time, guys, if you vote for Mama G, and 3 years she has not delivered, hold me responsible, because we are a team. It's not one person's job. We're a team and we work together. Thank you all. But remember, before I even pass the mantle to the next person, let Ambazonians out there know that elections are next Tuesday between 3 o'clock and 6 p.m. Amber time. Make sure you cast your vote. And the name you should be looking out for is Mama G, Ma Gertrude, on that ballot paper. Make sure you vote for Ma Gertrude. Pass, I hear. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Chairman. Thank you, th- thank you, Chairman Mas. I would like to give the
You have some
microphone now
echo
to this. I don't know where the echo is coming from.
from you.
It's certainly not from me.
It's better
So I
now.
would
It's
like
better.
to. Okay, I'd like to pass the the, the, the opportunity to Reverend Asson to give an appraisal of the conduct of the elections. You've heard the two representatives of the two campaigns. They are claiming to have won the debate. I didn't even ask that question yet, but they are already claiming. But well, it's normal for the political representatives to do that. What is your own take, Reverend Assam, on the conduct of the elections, given the fact that this moment is very significant in the democratic process that is taking hold in Ambazonia?
Volume,
You're
volume,
muted.
volume.
I
You're
was so
muted.
happy that. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Yep, you're good now. Mm.
Okay. So happy, so proud of Ambazonia that I'm part of the history making, something that I've been watching on TV from this Western world. I'm so proud that I was part of it and I was there. I witnessed it for myself. And I know that Africa is going to copy from what Ambazonians have started practicing real democracy in real life. Though it was visual, but the moderators were wonderful. I want to really, really appreciate Mama G because I know what it means for someone to be sick, but they still had that interest, the love that showed us the commitment that she has for this revolution. She was ready to push herself into that debate room to tell Amazonians that this is me. Despite my health condition, I am ready to come out and give you guys some assurance that if you vote for me, this is what I'm going to do. Debate is all about coming out to tell Ambazonians what your manifesto is. What is your mission? What is your vision? Where are you planning? Where we are and where are you planning to take the people to the next level? And let the people see you in person and ask their questions. And when you answer their questions the way they want, then they will see reasons for them to vote you. But for Marianta, who chickened out because she was scared to come out and tell Ambazonians her strategy, probably because she didn't have any strategy, I guess. Because if you have a strategy and you have Ambazonia in mind, you'll be bold and courageous enough to come out and tell Ambazonia that, hey, listen, though the modalities are not the way I want, but this is my vision, this is my mission, this is my way forward. Though they have not accepted my critics, I am still ready to come out and talk to you people as people that I love to tell you that from now henceforth, though I had some shortcomings in the past 6 months, but I can assure you people that from now henceforth, this is what I'm going to do. That's what we were expecting from her. But she disappointed us. It's just unfortunate that I'm a woman and she had to put all her belief and everything on Abongwa. She has no mind on her own to look at it like this was an opportunity, history in the
Mhm.
making in Ambazonia, for her to be
Thank,
part of the
th-
history. But her name is
thank
going
you.
to be someone who chickened out from debate in the
Yeah,
history of
yeah,
Ambazonia, which
yeah,
doesn't look
yeah.
good. It's not a good
She,
history at all. So
it
I
does,
don't
it
know
doesn't
who
look
are
good
those
indeed.
people that deceive
Mm.
her to take such a decision, but it's really a shame and a disgrace that for you to lead people for 6 months and you were not courageous enough to come out and tell them modalities were not the way I want, but I want to tell you that from now henceforth, I'm going to stand for this debate and this is what I have in plan and this is what I have in mind. So I was disappointed, but I was happy that ECA stood their grounds, Restoration Council stood their grounds, the moderators were perfect. Mama G, I give you cafe for that commitment. And I want to congratulate Secretary Chris that we are strongly behind you. And ARF are strongly behind you. Ground Zero are strongly behind both of you. You guys keep it up. Whoever wins, we are going to fall behind you people and support you people until we get Ambazonia back to Ambazonians. We are not going to let La Republique have it the way they are having it now. The game is going to change on the ground. From the way I listen to both of them talk, we can be assured that the dynamics on the ground, the firepower is going to change. All those keeping our monies in their private account, please bring it. Because once this leadership takes over, I'm pretty sure that the dynamics on the ground will change and La Republique will feel the real impact from now henceforth. Thank you.
Oh, thank
Thank
you,
you,
Reverend
Chairman.
Hanson. Thank you. Thank you. I first of all want to say that at the end of this show, we should not be very long from now. We are going to take a few calls, maybe 5 calls, just to get some input from Ambazonians listening and watching. What is their take on this experience? And talk about their experience. Um, Dr. Tianjo, this is actually a catalyst moment for Ambazonians. A catalyst moment that marks the period when we have replanted the seed of democracy that was destroyed when we came together with La République du Cameroon. Uh, this seed has been planted, and once something great has been planted, it becomes almost indestructible. It becomes very difficult to do away with it. And I'm very, like other speakers have already mentioned, I'm really proud of this moment. And Brazilians having this experience, I don't think they will ever let it go again. But what I want to, I'm wondering what exactly is going on in this Sako camp. I wonder what is going on there. What are they thinking? that these very elections that we rejected, we refused to take part in, this is what is happening now. And Ambazonians are excited. They are welcoming of it. So I wonder what is going on in the Circle camp. They are worried, of course, and especially with the candidates that are running, they are very concerned. La Republic is concerned. And other enablers out there, they are concerned because they know that the prospect of someone coming in who will actually take the fight to them is very high. Uh, can you analyze these realities, Dr. Tianjo? First of all, starting with this moment in our history where we are now again reinstating our democratic system that was destroyed when we came together with La Republique du Cameroon.
Yes, thank you, Chairman. I would say that me being part of history making or a history making event, like what took place yesterday and last week, in the form of a debate for Ambazonia, this is something that really intrigues me because I have been watching debates. I've been watching debates in other countries, especially the Western world. But for me to sit and imagine to be part of a debate like what took place yesterday and last week, it is really uplifting that we are not sleeping. And you can see how people in Sarko's camp, people in Marianta's camp are looking for a place to bury their heads in sand. They are looking for sand to bury their heads like ostriches. Because you see, these are events that are going to be recorded and to build a rich history for our country. But when you see people chicken out, it is often said in English that show me your friend and I will tell you who you are. When Tita was cooked to be the president, when he chickened out, and from the time that he refused reading the speech that Bongo wrote and gave him to read during his inauguration, he chickened out after that. I knew that Marianta is also part of the the Chicken Heart Association. She actually escaped a history making event by withdrawing because of fear. And let me tell them, Ambazonians know that you did not avoid the debate because of some irregularities. They know that you escaped, you absconded from the debate because of fear, because you have nothing to show. You've done nothing. All you are interested in is sit tight to be there called as a president
Mhm.
for no good reason. So what is going on in Sarko's camp? There is trouble coming because this is what they are thinking. Since we did not achieve, and Maranta took over, or Tita took over, and for one day he did nothing. Then Maranta took over and has not achieved anything. They were already comfortable that, okay, this is how the revolution is. When I was telling you as Sako that things are hard, this is how things are going to be done. And Maranta came and took over, thought that she was going to do great things. She has not been able to do it. Now, Comrade Chris or Margaret are coming in. These are people that time has tested them and time has shown that they can deliver. So to them, it is really scary to them because they have found somebody who is going to render them irrelevant in this revolution. And I bet you on Tuesday, when Secretary Chris will take over or Mama G will take over the the helm of the will be at the helm of this revolution or the IG, people like Sako, people like Marianta, their names are going to be written on the other side of history. These are people who brought us failure. But some a gentleman and a gentle lady came up and prove to the world that we are still vibrant enough to progress as a democracy that is growing. What I mean is that Secretary Chris, Mama Margaret Kisop, these are two people that are going to be hailed. These are people that are going to be epitomized in our history for the acts that they did to answer present. First of all, summoning the courage to run for election and to answer present in events like debates and campaigns that add value to our revolution.
Uh,
So,
uh,
to the
uh,
chicken-hearted president or interim president who ran away, and I hear she was watching it from the closet. She set up the computer, and the kids were watching and telling her why she was in the closet. So, this shows Ambazonians that this is somebody who is not in that position because he thinks about Ambazonians or he feels for this, our suffering people. She is there because of the position that she occupies and the
mhm.
kind of people, the people who are worshiping her, hand clappers, who have no idea about anything. Because how would you run a poor campaign like hers and you seek someone the courage to do anything? She destroyed and she shot herself on the foot from the beginning because even her cabinet, they had no idea. Her own chief of staff had no idea that she was running for office. How can you, as a candidate, not even tell your cabinet on what platform are you going to operate? You are going to operate on what your cabinet members and the different departments have achieved under your control. And then that is the information you are going to use to preach to Ambazonians that this is what I was able to achieve. Through my sector of health, this is what I achieved. Through my sector of diplomacy, this is what I achieved. Through my sector of home affairs, this is what I achieved. But
Uh,
you could not even summon the candidates or your own cabinet to inform them about this. So what I'm saying is
Dr.
not only
Tenjo,
that, yes,
Dr. Tenjo, Dr. Tenjo, since we're running short of time, let me just come in here. We have, I just want each of you to take just 30 seconds to make a statement about this, about the following: collaboration and a president with a runaway cabinet. Collaboration and a president with a runaway cabinet. Just take 30 seconds and say something about these two topics I mentioned here. And then we will take a few calls and call it a day.
okay,
Say something about collaboration because of time we cannot go talking about all the topics like we did during the last analysis, but just talk about collaboration and the fact that we have a president who is dealing with a runaway cabinet, which is probably one of the reasons why she doesn't feel like running because she knows she doesn't have the numbers to back her. I will start with uh, Reverend Hassan. You start with that. The runaway cabinet and collaboration. What can you say about it?
Thank you. I will just say that the runaway president, I don't think she even have any followers, so that should not even be our worries anymore. We've made history. Some people are not looking at what we have done like something that is big, but it's really big what we have done, this democracy and debate. And I just hope that those Ambazonians leaders that are out there will be ready, and I mean really ready to come on board so that we can work, we can collaborate to really free homeland. Because if you have the interest for this revolution, I don't think it should be about you. It should be about the country. It should be about the flag. So people can keep their various groups, but let's come together and let's collaborate so that we can push this revolution forward as fast as possible. We know there are some groups that have just 2 members, 3 members, and stuff like that. But we're not going to go by numbers. We're just stretching our arms to say that all Ambazonians matters. Come on board. Let's work as a team so that we can finish this race as fast as possible. It will not help you staying on the sideline or staying on your own group trying to prove a point when you know that you actually not proving any point. So it is better for us to come back to the drawing board and let's see how we can push this revolution to the finish line. We are going to invite even Dr. Sako and his own group. We invite Yerima and their group. We invite Akwanga, and if everybody that is willing, and if they really have the law for this revolution, because sometimes talk is cheap. People can just go out and say that they are for independent, but when it comes to the reality, it's difficult for them to really put it in practice. So if people are really willing, they will not put themselves first, they will put the flag first. So if Marietta wants to run away with her own government, with Abongwa, good and fine, but to what extent? Because she doesn't even have those followers. It's just few noisemakers that are following her here and there, which their LGAs are not even constituted. And the people that are following her are people that have no voice in their LGA. We are not talking about social media noise. We are talking about what impact do you have in your own LGA? What have you done? Is your LGA constituted? Are you proud to say that you have 10 people following you in your LGA? So running away with her own government will really not take her any far. Highest 1 month she will collapse, because the wrong people are behind her, and there's nothing she can do. The money that she's thinking that she wants to run away with, trust me, she will not run away with that money because it's our money. The fact that we did not take rapid decision on Sako does not mean that we will not take rapid decision on her. So if they are trying to think that they will do the same thing Sako did with our money, trust me, we are not going to lie low on that issue. We're going to follow that money and get back that money, whether you guys like it or not, whether it's in Europe or UK. We will call the UK government and that money will be refunded to Ambazonians. It's our money, so don't fool around. Alenda, you said that you are going to tell the other person that is keeping the money not to release the money to the National Treasury. But we have good news for you, because we're going to follow you people in Europe and in UK, and that money will be refunded to the Ambazonia people. I don't care how you guys try to fool around with it, but we are going to get that money back because it belongs to the Ambazonia people. Thank you very much, Chairman, and I hope I did not take more than my time.
You did.
Are you serious?
Yes.
All right. Okay, Chairman Maz, make it quick, please. Make it quick so we can take a few calls.
Thank you. Yes, this idea of breakaway, runaway government or breakaway needs to stop. Marianta needs to realize that her game is up and come back to the group. Collaboration, everybody, any Ambazonian out there will be invited to the big tent. But there will be some tests. And the test is this. You need to demonstrate that you stand for the total and unconditional liberation of our nation. Number two, you need to demonstrate that or show evidence that you have been fighting the common enemy. And the common enemy is La Republique and its agents. And above all, number three, you've not been fighting our own brothers. Once you've passed this test, you are welcome to the table. And when you come to the table, you're coming like equals. There's no president here and you coming like their subordinate. No. We're coming to that table as equals to discuss strategies on how we can get Ambazonia to ground zero. We can get to Boya. That is what it takes. For Marianta again, she needs to realize that it takes more than talk to keep a breakaway faction for a long time. We will do everything that we can to invite her to the table. And if she comes, great. If she doesn't come, great. The fact is that Boya is our destination. Marianta is not our destination. Boya is our destination.
Thank you, Chairman Mas. Thank you, Chairman Mas. I would like to ask. I would like. I would like Chairman Jackson, in your comment, to defer the questions I asked the previous speakers to say something about the accounts that have been withheld by the current president, and what should Ambazonians do about it, or what should we do about it? The accounts that are in their keeping and which they are not willing to hand over at this point. If you can Just
Okay,
tell us
okay,
what your thought is about what we should do about it.
okay. Thank you. This is something that it's not even just for me or the candidates that are running to be serious about. Every single Ambazonian need to call Marianta and her team. This is not right. This is not right. There is no way a sitting president should be even having something to do with money. We understand that it was supposed to rescue a situation, but the next 1 week, 2 weeks, that money should be in the government coffers. There is possibly no explanation. I don't care if they said they were trying to move this. No, 5 months and you have this money. Now at the end of the day, you run away from elections. Now you want to keep the money together with the surrogates that you brought, that Abongwa brought, because Abongwa referred the Treasury Department where to send that money to. So, which means it's a conspiracy amongst them. And let me tell you guys something that you guys have not realized. Very important. Because Marianta is running away from elections, she understands the outcome of these elections, that she's not going to be the president. Number two, now they have this money with them. She doesn't want to release that money. But she understands that the persons in the treasury that can warrant her to put that money back in the treasury are her cabinet members. What does she do? She fires them. Now, these people, according to her, do not have any mandate to have the Treasury Department. Now that I fired them, they should hand over the Treasury to her. At this time, she wants to take over the Treasury and then still keep the money she has. We should be thinking she's far ahead of everybody on her game, and this is shameful. And this is very shameful. But let me tell her, this is a story she got to think about. She cannot fire anybody now. And if she have a soul, if she has any little shame in her, she can't do that because it's so open, it's so obvious. And what I'm calling on every Ambazonian to do is pick your phone and call that lady and call Vice President Abongwa and tell them that what they're doing, this is something that will follow them for the rest of their lives. We
Thank you,
cannot just
Chairman
leave.
Johnson. Thank you.
Let me
If you
finish.
can
Let
just,
me finish one,
yeah,
one point. One point.
okay, all
We,
right.
we could not just leave Sako with the same problems. And we're here, you are displaying the same symptoms. I mean, we look so stupid and disgraceful, and are more disgrace to her, who is supposed to understand that this is why we are here, and you doing the same thing. It's terrible, my brother. Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Chanjo, real quick, your last statement about any of the topics we mentioned, you have a choice to pick whichever you're comfortable with. Just 30 seconds, please.
Yes, I think I had already discussed talked about the coward or the cowardice act that the incumbent or the transitional government took. The act that she actually portrayed in this debate thing has actually confirmed the fact that she's just a title lover kind of president. And given that his vice was not able to stand up to help her come on with something reasonable, is just lamentable. And then the tea-free part of it, she thinks that she can escape from the debate and keep the money that is with her. No, this is something that we Ambazonians will make sure that all the money that is in her keeping, all the money that is in Nanchop shipping, all the money that is in Chairman Masses keeping, that money is going to come in to our treasury. Our treasury is meant to control our finances, not for individuals to use their private accounts. And again, this same account, her account, the president account, was used for fundraising. So we also need to know how much got into that account in addition to what she is keeping. So she should not think that giving back that money without telling us how much got into her account, her private account, is enough. No, it's not enough. We must stand and make sure that we are Ambazonians, we contribute the money, and we need to know where that money is and what the money is going to be used for. Thank you.
To add to your point, what does it say about a person who is claiming to be fighting for the liberation of a country, and yet you want to retain resources that are meant to do exactly that? Is that a patriotic behavior? Is that the way that someone who really has a passion for that country would behave? And I ask this because I think we are beginning to learn that since leaving the southern Cameroons when she was maybe 10 years old, she probably has not been back there. So she really does not have any connection to ground zero or to know what our people are really going through. There is someone who just wants to be called a president. She just sits there, comes on a Zoom meeting or something and tell people what to do and does not listen. So when you look at someone's actions, they can tell you their intentions and how they value the struggle. The sacrifices, when you look at the sacrifices from all the leaders that are running for president, you can tell who has sacrificed the most and their dedication to the struggle. And not these people who are just opportunists and they want to be called leader when they are really not doing the job that is required. So I was hoping that some calls will come in, but some calls have been coming in, but for some reason the calls keep dropping. I don't know what's happening. But if there's anyone out there who wants to call, we have just 3 minutes left to round the show. They are welcome to call. But in the meantime, I want to again thank all of you, the panelists, Dr. Tianjo, Reverend Asong, Chairman Jackson, Chairman Mas. I know you guys are doing it against each other, but I hope you're having fun. Starting with your candidates yesterday who were out, and I was really proud of the display of not just their mastery of the subject matters that or the topics that were presented for them to debate on, but their composure and the tone that was very civil, and that is exactly what we want, and that is what we called for during these elections. Remember, during at the start of these elections, when the president's campaign team decided to bring in some rogue elements that had not belonged to this struggle before, they imported these people, some from South Africa, some from wherever, brought them in, and they started acting crazy. And some of us said, Madam President, you better call these people to order because what they are doing in this house is not dignifying. But they did not listen. They did not listen. And these people went along and they continued to create chaos in the recalibration forum, and it is what it is today. That has completely killed their hello. Yeah, how you doing? I think I have a call here. Let's hear what. How are you doing, sir? I'm all right. I'm all right. What do you have to say?
Okay, sir, I'm calling regarding to this election stuff, and my greatest concerns goes to the Restoration Council.
All right. Where are you calling from, first of all, please?
I'm calling from Malabo.
Okay. Okay. That's interesting. Go ahead. What are your concerns?
Okay, sir, I want to greet those in there. I want to greet the panelists and everybody there.
Okay.
My greatest concern is about the incumbent president, whosoever will be the president, right? Because we need to learn from our past experience. For example, like Dr. Sako and Madam Marianta.
Yeah.
We have realized that they have been so comfortable, and their main goal is not because they want to lead Ambazonia, but because they want to embezzle money. Because if your concern is not about embezzlement, I think you will be able to stand for elections because your main concern is to lead Ambazonia and to make sure we get our land.
Yes.
So my main concern goes to the Restoration Council that whosoever is coming as the next president, there must be an agreement that the president needs to sign to show that at the end of the day, any money that has been sent to the treasury, he needs to be accounted for. And if there is any missing money, he needs to pay, he or she needs to pay. And if he or she does not pay, they need to take them to court because they already signed and they cannot run from it.
Okay.
And somebody will go to his or her treasurer, the person he or she will put as a treasurer. He will also need to sign the same document saying that he or she will be in charge. Any missing money where the Amazon people have been casted. Because we have realized that all these leaders coming, they're all concerned about money, and they don't think about ground zero.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Your concerns are very genuine, and I hope that the Restoration Council is listening. Have a good day, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Yes. So, fellow panelists, you heard Ambazonians are listening, and they don't like what is happening. Beginning from Sako and now Marianta, that when people put money that is supposed to go to assist our fighters, people take the money and they sit on it and they start saying, what are you going to do? Just because they find that we are in the diaspora in a virtual environment and we don't yet have our courts and our judicial system established in ground zero that can go after them. But these people should understand they will be held accountable for their behaviors, if not now in the future, but they will not get away with this behavior. They need to understand that. In the absence of any other calls coming in, and especially we are above time, I just want to again thank all of you, my panelists who have come on board today for coming. Fellow Ambazonians, this is a moment that you all should be proud of yourselves. You should be proud of yourselves to call yourselves Ambazonians. We are establishing the foundation of our democracy. It may not be as perfect as it should be. Remember, we are just starting. America, that has been a democracy for hundreds of years, they are still adjusting things to make sure that theirs works. We are not perfect, but this cannot be a reason for us to stop it until every I is dotted or every T is cut. We have to take what we have now, keep moving along and making improvements as we go along. So that is the way it's going to be, but our democracy is here to stay. Thank you for watching, and that was a call that was coming in, but it dropped. Thank you for watching. Let me see if I can take just this last call.
Okay.
Hello? 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 Yeah, can you speak louder, please? Can you be a little bit louder?
Right. Is this ABC?
ABS. This is ABS. Yes, you are live. Do you have a question?
Yes, I have a question.
All right.
I just want to say thanks the panelists and everyone who is struggling that we should be successful.
Okay.
But I got a lot of questions for them because I know we're fighting for the betterness of our country, and while doing everything, we have to make sure we're doing right. The next coming up president, I've attended some ADP meetings. I've seen how Dr. Tianjo is bullying at Madam President. I wonder if the next president will come, that will be the same. And I've also seen how our ever GOD, which she does a good job, told the president that if we continue doing like this, they will separate the PLM from the executive, from the government. What if the next president come and you utter the same word? Where are we going to? I know Madam President has done her own excess. She's raised problem on the modalities that we currently have. Why did the Restoration Council address some and leave some because of no time? Dr. Chandru is part of that. I
we just doing that because she's a lady? If it was a man, would it still be the same? What things are we putting to make sure this problem doesn't resolve? If the president did not sign something into law, why is the Restoration Council considering that? Will the Restoration Council continue making laws without letting the president sign, and we keep breaking ourselves in apart? Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Yes, unfortunately, I've already dismissed my panel, but I think what I can say is for some of the concerns that you raised, the modalities that were not accepted, where there was a reason why they were not accepted. It wasn't because she was a woman. If you take into consideration the fact that her concerns were even accommodated, which is not normal. You know that if a president is allowed to draw the rules of elections, then the president will draw the rules to favor him or her, right? So it is not normal for the president to be the one determining how the rules should be. But the rules were drawn when no other candidate was even out there. So they did not even know who was running. So it was for a plain field, not knowing who was going to run. So it wasn't because she was prejudiced for any reason or because she was a female or anything like that. And with regards to personal behaviors with the president, I cannot answer for that. So again, thank you for your questions. And fellow Ambazonians, we're out of time. Till next time, take good care of yourselves and each other. And again, be proud of yourselves as Ambazonians, because this is a proud moment for our country. Thank you for listening, and good night.
I'll finish.
Evika. Tambe, Orok, may you are so rest in peace. Mrs. Onok Eberesia, USA. Mankarawa. Seseko Joseph Mbu, my own man. Ha, man of the people. Oh no, Evika, Evika. Beangwa werepe kanyenya kwene. Muna kevente achinya chigavene chege. Menang penta ngeba megetria. Eti Evika Evika neme yabe. Bemi yumi yete. Ashimene mi ba. Abeke mi mwa ningini. Abeke mi mwa ningini. Abole mi mini uyo kundi nalikun. Ebanja mini mwa ningini. Evika ye. Eninganemo, ekmememi. Eninganemo, ekmemi. As I saw the beauty, I saw her very far. I told my parents I have seen my wife. I called my friends to come and see my queen. I told my neighbors she veut me marier. We then took palm wine, cola nuts and tobacco. Eti Evika Evika neme yabe. Ekongo ye kime, ekime. Ekongo ye nyingeme nyingeme. Ekongo ye kime, ekime. Ekongo ye nyingeme nyingeme. Brother Steve Sona from Silicon Valley, California. Mrs. Elizabeth Sona of California. Yeah? Momanyo. This is the oracle. Etandu Momanyo the governor. Mr. Orok Eric Tabo. Sore menyenge menkama. Oh no. Sore menyenge menkama. Cheme mandu ekongo ye kime kwen bingiria. Evika o. Sister Magdalene Sona of Tiko, Cameroon. Membe sore menyenge menkama. Cheme kongo ye. Sore bakabankama. Cheme kongo ye. Sore bekere menkama. Cheme kongo ye. Ekongo ye kime kwen bingiria. Evika o. Ekongo ye. Ekongo ye. Ekongo ye kime kwen bingiria. Evika o. Dr. Oro Kingsley Jang of USA. Oh no. Enyengene mande machewo ekongo kame. Enyune mande mawoko wo ekongo kame. Awoko wo wakachogo chogo afebe temsia. Ekongo ye kime kwen bingiria. Evika o. Ekongo ye kime kwen bingiria. Evika o. Mrs. Ebaisona of Boya. Enyengene mande machewo ekongo kame. Enyune mande mawoko wo ekongo kame. Awoko wo wakachogo chogo afebe temsia. Ekongo ye kime kwen bingiria.